The reviews are in for the first episode of Meghan Markle's podcast, Confessions of a Female Founder. The first episode just released today, and already critics are saying it's an inane stream of mindless aphorisms that is stomach-turning. I can't say I'm surprised. I guess we'll have to wait and see how it performs. But her first episode was an interview with the female founder of the dating app Bumble.
She should have gotten the Theranos lady.
She should have. If she really were serious about female founders.
Prison interview.
She's not in prison, though, I'm pretty sure.
Even
Elizabeth
better.
Holmes is free. She's walking free. But, or Anna Delvey even. She's a founder, a female founder. She's also a felon. Those are the 3 Fs. But,
I mean, didn't at one point, wasn't it proven that, like, for a long time, a lot of, like, the weapons manufacturers in this company had, like, female CEOs? Let's do a podcast with all the female executives of the weapons companies.
Yeah, like I'm all for that.
Unironically, I would listen to a bunch of women talking about, like, selling rockets that they use to bomb foreign countries.
So her guest is the Bumble founder, Whitney Wolfe Herd, who... that just sounds like a fake name. Mm-hmm. The Telegraph, Standard, and The Guardian all gave Confessions of a Female Founder 2 out of 5 stars, and it's getting a slew of negative reviews. But as you pointed out earlier, Brett, some of them are contradicting each other.
Elizabeth Holmes is in jail.
Oh, okay.
Serving an 11-year prison sentence in Texas.
Maybe her sentence hadn't started by the last time I checked, but... some of these reviewers are saying that Meghan Markle made the entire episode about herself, but other reviewers are saying that she was being secretive and guarded and keeping all of the personal information close to the chest.
Yeah, she can't win.
So she literally can't win. And I've said this before. I don't like Meghan Markle. I'm kind of a Meghan Markle hater, but I at least am willing to acknowledge that she doesn't have the opportunity to rehabilitate her image. It doesn't matter what she does. It doesn't matter what she says, who she hangs out with, what she sells as her product line, what her show is on Netflix. She's always going to piss people off.
It's the only way to fix it for her and Rachel Zegler is to play a villain.
The only way to fix it is go on SNL and let them make fun of you.
This is like what they, who they need to talk to is like Roman Reigns over at WWE. When WWE tries to make him a good guy, everybody hates him. Nobody starts liking you until you become a bad guy. Mm-hmm. So she's got to just like lean into the, like, do the king and the queen over in England, do they still wear crowns? She needs to make a video of her like crushing a crown. Make it a Burger King crown. That'll be symbolic. People will read the frick into that.
But you have to pick a side, though, which she's not willing to do.
Well, that's stupid.
Here are some of the reviews. Chris Benian says, there are no confessions or secrets. At one point, Meghan says to her guest, you don't have to reveal all your secrets, but there are plenty of self-care aphorisms, journeys of self-love and validation, discussions of bottling your essence, and great handfuls of mutual adoration.
Is that the same thing as stepping into your confidence?
Right, and standing in your worth.
What the fuck does bottling your essence mean? Pardon my language.
You have to bottle your essence. You have to stand in your worth, step into your confidence.
Unless it's Belle Delphine, I don't understand what bottling your essence is.
Yeah, that's kind of where my mind went, but I wasn't going to say it. The Guardian says Confessions of a Female Founder is far from a grilling, and it's hardly a manual of specific constructive business advice. It's simply an effusive chinwag between 2 like-minded pals that may as well have taken place behind a deluxe set of closed doors. Another one said, I've been listening for 8 minutes before Whitney speaks about business for, I timed it, 17 seconds before Meghan chimes in again.
So he's saying that she didn't let her talk long enough.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean,
Another one says...
Interviewing is a very, very specific skill set. And unfortunately, most of the time, unless you have done something like that, you don't really clock when it's bad unless you're like really, like, you have to have some good examples to the contrary. And there are really, really good interviewers, and it's a skill set that you cultivate and build. It's not something that you can just ask questions. The best interviewers know when to press hard at specific topics. They're very, very well read on the subject matter. I talk all the time about Chris Van Vliet, the wrestling interviewer, who has just this unbelievable depth of knowledge about the industry that he can then use to plumb the depths of these people's brains and get these great clips out of. Or even some of the music stuff that I've been listening to lately. They have to have such a strong knowledge of the person that they're interviewing to really, really get to these important parts. But I don't know if Meghan Markle would be interested in learning that skill set, because like we said, it's more about her brand.
Right.
So I that's not to shame her for that. I don't think I would be a great interviewer either. I'm saying that she needs to pivot into something that's more in her wheelhouse.
But it's like we talked about before with her prior podcast on Spotify, Archetypes, she presented it as an interview show.
Yeah.
But she wasn't capable of doing interviews. So they just recorded her asking questions and then recorded the other person separately answering them and spliced it together to make it sound like some simulation of a conversation, which was really creepy. No one liked it, which is why it flopped and had to be reinvented. But now they've tried to reinvent the podcast. It is the same one all over again. So Archetypes was about complaining that women are pressed into a box and they're not allowed to be fully complex human beings with different sides. And now Confessions of a Female Founder is also about complaining about how hard it is to be a woman and an entrepreneur and all of these things. And it's just about complaining.
Those are bullet points. So one of the hardest things to do, like when we discuss this show and when we talk about what we're going to discuss on here, you have to, and they do this on IRL too, when they're doing topic selection. You look at these things that they're discussing and you say, is there 10, 15 minutes worth of discussion to happen here? Now, an interview is even more complex because you can have, general ideas of like lead questions of what you want to ask a person. But then you gotta, if you know what you're doing, you have a way to follow up, especially if it seems like you're starting to hit on something that could be really, really informative. But when all you're talking about are folksy feminist aphorisms and sloganeering, that doesn't really fill. It's like it's done and then everybody clapped. And there's not really more to that. It's as surface level as the ideology is itself, I guess.
Right. I mean, I think we're pretty good at.
Well, I'm saying but the thing is
personally,
like for us, we have a mixture of things that we talk about, and that's different when you have a rapport that's built up over however many years we've been doing this. It's different to sit in cold with somebody that you've never spoken to, that specific, to that level of specificity before, and expect to get something good out of it. And most of the time, what I would guess is like the great interviewers of the past, those interviews were likely insanely long and then cut down to just the best of what was said. Whereas now I feel like people just push record and go. And that's kind of the market in podcasting, right? Is like it's quantity over quality a lot of the time. But given the level of fame for her guests, it should be about quality and not quantity.
Well, she ran into a problem naming it Confessions of a Female Founder because she founded and launched her brand literally a week before the release of this podcast. So she's presenting herself as some kind of entrepreneur with years of experience and expertise and wisdom to offer, but she has none. So she just has to reel it back to what she does best, which is complaining. So the way that she wanted to relate to Whitney Wolfe on this episode is how we can complain about the same things together and we can hate the same people together, which brought her to their shared experience of being bullied online and bullied by the media. Meghan Markle reflected on the brutalizing bullying that she has experienced in the premiere episode. But she says this was brought up discussing the backlash that Whitney Wolfe faced after launching Bumble. This woman, by the way, was on the original team that started Tinder.
That's a way more interesting discussion. Like, talking about how dating applications have
talking
changed
about dating in general
has changed the foundation of the relationship between the sexes is an infinitely more interesting discussion. And being like to
Meghan Markle, like herself is 100 times more interesting than any of that.
Imagine interviewing Steve Jobs and being like, remember when people made fun of you because you wore the same thing every day? And not asking him.
And then Meghan Markle would be like, I know, like, people make fun of me when I rewear my Ralph Lauren sweater, but like, it's just they don't like know me. They know my name, not my story. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like,
Mr. Jobs. Like, that's what she would do if she were interviewing Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
But here's what she said to the CEO, or rather the CEO said to Meghan. She was heaping praise on her. When I see the way you've been treated in the media, a magnitude I'll never understand, my heart breaks for you. It's not fair. To which Meghan says, maybe because you understand it in whatever degree, you know how to show up for me. Mm-hmm. Whitney Wolfe clarified that she can imagine what Markle has gone through, but also can't. And she said her jaw hit the floor in an airport when she saw Meghan Markle on the cover of every single magazine and newspaper there at the time, thinking, what? I'm in Ireland. She's back home in California with her kids doing school drop-off, and she's on every front page and every one of these things. What are they talking about? She claimed there was no content and nothing to say, to which Markle agreed, I know. Mm-hmm. However, Markle challenged Whitney Wolfe on the idea that her bullying is a different beast because it doesn't feel different whether it's at that scale or not. She told her listeners, no matter what scale it's at, there's gonna be a point where you're going to take a hit, and there's gonna be a point where you have to decide whether you're going to cower or conquer and rise above it.
Again, that's just an aphorism. That's just a platitude. It's not in-depth or interesting.
Yeah, Meghan Markle hasn't risen above the backlash yet.
Yeah.
If she had been able to bring public favor back on her side after the initial backlash, then she would have a lesson for everyone. But she's just digging herself a deeper hole.
For people of their level of fame, individual stories would be way more interesting to most people.
I would much rather.
No, who's a great interviewer or a great, again, this show and IRL are not interview shows, and people mistake that all the time. They think that that they're coming in to be interviewed. No, it's topical. And then one of the hardest things that you learn when you do something like this is you have to be willing to speak up. Otherwise, there's nothing worse than dead air. Mm-hmm. Like there's nothing people hate worse than dead air. Some people, especially people who pre-record stuff, don't necessarily always like that because they're used to doing things a specific way, or if they're just not used to this type of format. But like for them, like a great interviewer is somebody like Michael Rosenbaum, the dude from Smallville, who interviews all of these celebrities. And he gets great clips. Like he's got a knack for knowing what to get out of these actors that he can turn into social media clips because he understands the process of what they do and how the profession of acting can be uniquely have a unique effect on somebody's personal life. And stuff like that. So it's a skill set in and of itself. And for her, I feel like she'd be better off talking about individual stories of her own life within the Hollywood sphere or the royal sphere. But the problem is, to do that, then you risk becoming persona non grata because you're taking personal experiences that may be private, and you either double check with them every time to make sure that it's okay that you tell this story, or you run the risk of just doing it and saying, I hope they're not mad.
And at that point, you jeopardize the friendships that she holds so dear, not because she cares about those people like Mindy Kaling or any of these other people who are going on her Netflix show, but because they give her access and she needs access. Another story that she wanted to use to relate to Whitney Wolfe was their shared experience of getting diagnosed with postpartum preeclampsia, which is a rare condition. I think it's related to having high blood pressure after pregnancy, and it can be life-threatening for sure. But this came up between them, and she was talking about how scary the experience was. And I don't think this really warrants much criticism. I don't doubt that she genuinely went through this. Yeah. But I know there is a dedicated group of people online who believe that Meghan Markle is lying about this condition. And in fact, lying about having ever been pregnant in the first place. They believe not that, she's a Brigitte Macron pretending to be female, but they think she actually hired surrogates for both of her children with Prince Harry. And she pretended to be pregnant with fake bellies.
So tell me, she was pregnant one time and the other time was surrogacy?
No, they believe like both of them are fake.
But I'm saying in reality.
In reality, neither of them were surrogates.
Oh, so she had. To
my knowledge.
Okay. All right. I didn't know.
To my knowledge, I believe both of them.
So they're saying that she used a fake pregnancy belly and had surrogates. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because they're saying the timing at which she was released from the hospital after giving birth couldn't have possibly made sense because they wouldn't have discharged her so early with this condition. But I came across this video on X. This person says Meghan Markle never had a miscarriage or postpartum preeclampsia because she was never pregnant. To all the women who have been pregnant, did your belly swing back and forth like a bowl of Jell-O? That's what they're observing in this clip here. Now it is kind of strange, isn't it? But it could be doctored. Could be faked.
It looked like it kind of looked like an effect of the dress pattern.
That, yeah. I'm personally not in the Meghan Markle pregvestigation camp.
For the sake of my own soul, I don't care.
No, I agree.
Like there's caring enough to question that seems like it's at the expense of your own soul and your own well-being.
Yeah, I think people do have Meghan Markle derangement syndrome.
Yeah.
And it's hard to blame them because she is objectively so annoying. But, if she were willing to, like you said, turn heel or be the butt of the joke once in a while or do something that actually interests people, like spill the tea, any of those three or any combination of those three would actually bring her image back into good favor. She's just not willing to go there. Yeah. She hasn't hit rock bottom yet.
Well, we'll continue to watch with interest.
We'll document.
Okay. Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.